Have you ever wondered if you've lived before or will live again? Are you curious about what happens to your soul after you die? Or maybe you've met someone you're sure you've known before. Or maybe you're just wondering if you have talents, skills, and experiences from a prior life that could help you now. Hi, I'm Brownell Landrum, author of the upcoming We Meet Again trilogy, and I'd like to welcome you to the Life is a Trip podcast. The following story, entitled Sumac Lemonade, was written and narrated by Alycin Hayes. Alycin was inspired to write Sumac Lemonade when her memories were triggered while camping in the woods in Southwestern Ontario, Canada. For thousands of years, this land was the traditional land of the Attawanderon People. Their spirits still inhabit these forests today.
Sumac Lemonade, read by Alycin Hayes. Standing quietly by the fading embers of my campfire, I listened to the songs of morning birds. My blue tent, slack with the weight of evening dew, dried slowly as a strengthening sun rose in the sky. A grove of ripe sumac trees on a nearby rocky hill invited me to harvest them. Bucket in hand, I made my way to gather their red fruit. They were easy to reach, as the trees were small, not even 8 feet tall. In a short time, I filled my bucket with as much of the furry fruit as it would hold and returned to my campsite to prepare to make sumac lemonade. The sun, now reaching its full height in the clear sky above, embraced me with an invisible blanket of hot air, making my body perspire profusely. I removed my clothes and lay face up in the tall grass. Occasionally, a grasshopper would brush its body against mine in a search for fresh blades of grass. I didn't move until the birds stopped singing. Suddenly, all was quiet. A strange yet familiar silence made me sit up to listen intently. My gaze turned toward the now voiceless marsh. A dog barked. 3 mallard ducks flew up above the trees briefly, then disappeared loudly on the other side of the wetland. Again, a dog barked, followed by the sound of horses trotting on the trail which lay west of the woods. Nervously I rose, pieces of dry grass still clinging to my naked body. For a moment I stood frozen, staring in the direction of the approaching horses, not sure what to do, when out of nowhere a white-tailed deer bounded past me into the sumac thicket. Without thinking, I quickly followed and hid myself within the foliage of this sanctuary. Crouching low, I watched and waited. The approaching horses' hoofbeats were accompanied by voices of men and women that seemed somehow familiar. I remained concealed. The riders arrived and quickly dismounted, holding their horses motionless like statues as they searched with their eyes for the occupants of my camp. The dog cautiously sniffed at the smoldering ashes of my morning fire. A naked child I recognized ran to my bucket of red sumac berries, picked up one bunch, and took it gleefully to a woman sitting beside my fire pit. How did I know this child with long dark hair? She was remarkably familiar. I could smell the horses' sweat as it rose from their steaming bodies and felt their relief when the riders removed their wet saddle blankets. Set free, the small Attawanderon spirit horses quickly bowed their heads to feast on the surrounding tall, dry grass. In no time at all, my visitors erected 3 wigwams in a circle around my campsite and made a roaring fire. After cooking a meal on it, they ate their fill, casually throwing scraps to the dog while occasionally glancing around, waiting, looking for the owner of the camp to return. I silently remained hidden, watching. They could not see me. The young girl ran from one to the other, laughing and cheerfully chatting about grasshoppers, food, and fire until she finally fell into a deep sleep beside one of the wigwams. A smiling woman carried her inside. Tired from their long ride, the rest of my visitors also entered into their respective wigwams to sleep. My camp returned to woodland silence, disturbed only by the sounds of breathing sleepers. Like a night owl, I watched silently from the woods. Gradually, distant memories began to fill my head. While pondering these echoes in my mind, a howling wind blew across the campsite, lifting a spark from the ashes of the campfire. carrying it to the dry grass surrounding my camp. With incredible rapidity, the tiny spark changed into flames that hungrily licked at the dry meadow. From my sumac hill, I could see dense gray smoke rising. I saw angry flames, galloping horses, yelling people, whimpering dogs, more roaring flames, and heard the desolate, crying girl. Suddenly I knew the little girl was me, lifetimes ago. I felt her horrendous burning pain. We began to scream. Our voices became one, screaming again and again, louder and louder, until no voice was left. Intoxicating black smoke darkened the sky. I lost consciousness. Awakened by the song of chirping crickets, I found myself alone, surrounded by night. Pale moonlight revealed no sign of the previous day's visitors or devastating fire. The wigwams had completely disappeared. The deadly smoke was gone. All that remained was my blue tent with a bucket of sumac berries next to it. Had I been dreaming? I wondered. That is, until I saw the small bunch of sumac berries the child had removed from my bucket still lying next to the cold ashes of my campfire. A message from another time. Wrapping myself in a blanket, I squatted beside my fire pit, lighting a new fire to boil water for my sumac lemonade. Yes, the little girl was gone, but not entirely. We were one and the same, shared lifetimes apart.
Thanks for listening to Sumac Lemonade by Alycin Hayes. Alycin Hayes is an award-winning author and filmmaker. Originally from Canada, she has spent much of her life adventuring all over the world. Her memoir, Amazon Hitchhiker, A Woman's Adventures from Canada to Brazil, a new release bestseller on Amazon, is the true story of her extraordinary travel adventures. Her children's book, Milo and the Mustang, won the R. Murrow Award for Best Great Kids Book for Road Trips. Allison's film, Wild Florida's Vanishing Call, won awards at film festivals in the United States and the United Kingdom. Currently, Alycin is working on another children's book and a collection of short stories. To reach Alycin Hayes, go to her website, www.echohillproductions.com. Thanks for joining us. Hi, this is Brownell. For more of these transcendental tales, please join the Life is a Trip group on Facebook and check out my amusing and enlightening story entitled The End, which you can find on my website, brownelllandrum.com. That's BROWNELLLANDRUM.com. And please look for my upcoming novel trilogy entitled We Meet Again. It's a story about a famous couple reincarnated today to help solve a centuries-old mystery that will change the world.